morning, Lagos. Okay, that's not supposed to do that now, am I?
No, we already did that.
Okay, you already did that at 6.
minutes
Okay.
ago.
Good
Yeah.
morning, Lagos. Sorry, instead of more normal sounds. How's everybody? Kayode, how you doing?
I'm awesome. Good to see you.
Hey, good to see you too. So we're hopping into business news as usual.
As usual. So jump in as well with us. Reach out to us on WhatsApp at 0809-444-0981. And on Twitter, we are at Smooth91FM with the hashtag BusinessExpress981.
All right, thank you. Well, where do we start? There's so much going on. Okay, so the stock market, another ugly drop yesterday, 2.3%. The largest decline since what? October, I think it was the 24th or 23rd of last year. 29,336 points is where we are. Remember yesterday, I said that it was possible, based on trading, we could fall below the psychological 30,000 point barrier, and that happened yesterday. Dangote Cement, I think, was responsible. A large sell-off in the stock yesterday. So far this month, this is odd for religious people out there. We're down by 6.66% as far as the losses go this month. 14 gainers, 19 losers. Julius Berger was the top gainer, up by 10%. University Press PLC was the top loser, down by 10%. Oil is at $60.96, so this is good. It's slowly been increasing. Remember, our budget benchmark is $60 per barrel for our 2019 budget. Kayode, we have how many refineries in Nigeria? 4.
Yes,
There are
4.
2 in Port Harcourt, 1 in Warri, 1 in Kaduna. So
I thought they said they're all going to get them working.
no, forget that one. Forget. I just wanted to scale something. It's not fair for us to be comparing ourselves to America, but once in a while you come over, you pass information that you just see, and it's like, wow. So the America has the EIA, the Energy Information Administration. They come out, they give inventory levels of crude in the United States. Do you know how many refineries America has?
How many?
135. America has more refineries than Nigeria has states.
That says a lot about the economy.
They brought their inventory reports for, what was it now, first week of January. Those 100 and okay, let me back up. The 4 refineries that we have in Nigeria, 2 in Port Harcourt, 1 in Warri, 1 in Kaduna, they're supposed to be producing 445,000 barrels per day, right?
Yes.
Now they've been producing under capacity. They've not been working. This is for years, right? The 135 refineries in America produce 17.6 million barrels of oil.
So that's
I mean, it's
we can't
but again,
count that.
and see, this is the whole, when you think about it, elections are coming up, so I'm sorry they seep into this show. We talk about the whole, restructuring of the country, giving states more independence. We've talked about in the aviation sector, one of Akwa Ibom floating its own airline. I don't know, if you look at the landscape and how things are supposed to work, I don't know if the central model is still something that we can look at, but we push on. But it's just interesting. If for anyone out there who wants to just spark conversation, America has 135 refineries,
And Nigeria has 4.
and we have 4. But hey, we push on. Kayode, I know neither of us is married, right? We're still single men. Have you considered getting a prenuptial agreement to protect your assets in marriage?
But why would I need that?
Okay, Jeff Bezos, the richest man in the world, the richest human being in the world, announced after 25 years, excuse me, 25 years, him and his wife, Mackenzie, are going to be getting a divorce. All the talk yesterday was what it's going to mean for his net worth, because as of right now, he's the richest person in the world. He's at $137 billion, I believe. Bill Gates of Microsoft is second, about 97 billion. Warren Buffett of Berkshire Hathaway, he's in third place. He has about $88 billion. In fact, he suffered about a $4 or $5 billion loss. That's Warren Buffett, who's number 3, because of the drop in Apple's shares. Last week, Apple gave forward guidance saying that because of a slowdown in iPhone sales in China, that their revenue is going to drop. So people started selling. Exactly, people started selling the stock. So Warren Buffett's net worth has dropped. But back to Jeff Bezos. People in the West, they take their prenups and division of assets pretty seriously. So his wife has been with him for 25 years.
So half of everything goes to her.
Exactly, and this is interesting. So what was said was, if this is just speculation because there could be agreements and so on, but if they go through with the divorce and they split his assets, his assets 50-50, she'll end up with, I think it was 68.5 billion, making her the richest woman in the world automatically. Wow. Meanwhile, Bezos will drop from number 1 to number 50 if he were to split 50-50. So it caused me to think. I was like, do we have prenuptial agreements in Nigeria? I have
Some
to go
people
to.
do.
We do. We actually do. I did a little research on this yesterday, and it actually exists. So there's a lawyer. I actually picked up her blog. I think you guys can check out her blog. I think it's Ms. Agams. So MZAGAMS. MsAgams.wordpress.com. It's a legal blog. She says she's been working as a divorce lawyer in Nigeria for over 20 years, and I want to read a particular excerpt from her blog. She said, I especially recommend prenups for Nigerian women who have a high net worth prior to marriage. With high net worth, now, of course, this part is a little controversial, but based on anecdotal evidence, stories we've heard, these things do happen. So let me read this. She says, while high net worth men that initiate divorce often evict their wives from the matrimonial home without any assets whatsoever, and often even without her personal effects, high net worth Nigerian women often lose joint property to their spouse when divorcing. So unfortunately, divorce,
It's one-sided.
it's one-sided here. So her advice, and I think people who are in the same boats, we're hoping, are we getting married? Not me and I, but are we separately thinking about getting married this year? I don't know. We're looking at it, but
That's not in my book this year.
well, okay. So you see, you have to make sure your assets are protected. So the advice that she gives, I'll tweet the blog out for people to read. And I know we don't like talking about this in Nigeria, but a prenuptial agreement is supposed to talk about ownership of assets and protection of those assets in the event of divorce or separation. So she says another thing is for couples or people coming together, the toughest part, of course, is having that conversation first. How do you bring it up? Cheta was downstairs. I was talking with Cheta about it. Cheta was like, look, the toughest, if you bring it up, you are suggesting something, and
Yes.
it's their hair, so it's tough.
That we might go, separate ways.
Right, exactly. And everybody's like, God forbid, don't say such things. But hey, look, and this is another thing, I would love to track this. We don't have any tracking of the amount of divorces in Nigeria, unfortunately, unless somebody wants to do the legwork and start going by each court in the
I don't
country.
even think there's a lot of paperwork that goes through with the divorces here in Nigeria.
That's the thing. So thank you for mentioning that. So she says, look, take a record of the ownership of your property. If your spouse starts a business and you invest in that business, take a record. It sounds bad when we start recording all these things you're doing, but look, people,
Record the lands.
exactly, record,
all
record
of
everything. Keep a record, because someone asked her, she was the Q&A on her blog, are prenuptial agreements in Nigeria, are they binding or influential? They are not binding. So it's up to the courts to determine, based on whether they believe the agreement is, 1, equitable, and 2, fair, that they make their decision. But generally, prenups actually do exist in Nigeria. So just take a record of what you own, keep a record of that, and we hope for the best with all marriages that take place. Messages?
Darlington Papa says, good morning. Our refineries are not refineries. What we have are, conduit conduit pipes used to service friends of those in government. Bank balances. Having a refinery in Kaduna that is far from the source of crude,
Right.
doesn't make any economic sense. That's Darlington from Papa. Let's see. This one.
Darlington, thank you for that. Yeah.
Let's see. This one here says. Okay, still Darlington from Papa. This one here says, Rotus, did you have to drop the bombshell about the number of our refineries in the U.S.?
Hey, look, it's information. We have to just throw this stuff. I didn't know it was that many. 125.
It sounds like we're just joking in Nigeria. When our population is about 60% of that of the U.S., the difference about our refineries, power generation, and GDP is too clear.
Exactly.
This is cruise.
Exactly.
Moses says, Rotus, you're not single.
Of course, I am single. What are you talking about, Cruz? We're talking about making sure you assess what you own going into a marriage, just in case. Just be careful, because you don't want to lose out. Essentially,
He
that's
says
what we're
the
talking
stock
about.
market is simply reacting to the election uncertainty as well.
Correct. That is correct. Yes. So foreign investors are saying, look, we don't know what's going to happen. We're going to wait until after the elections before we hop in and see what goes. So, but it's still a buying opportunity if you're ready to take that risk. What else is going on? Okay, so this is interesting. Jim Yong Kim, who is the president of the World Bank, I should have mentioned this last week, but we're running out of time, and He announced he's stepping down as the president of the World Bank. Yeah.
Okay.
Now he was elected to a 6-year term that was supposed to end in 2022, but he just announced quickly that he's stepping down. He now said that he's going to join a firm and focus on increasing infrastructure investments in developing countries. It turns out that the firm he is joining is called Global Infrastructure Partners. It's run by a Nigerian-born businessman, Bayo Ogunlesi. So Mr. Ogunlesi runs they're a private equity firm that makes a lot of investments around the world. And in fact, they were involved in he led a consortium of investors that bought London's Gatwick Airport for 1.5 billion in pounds in 2009. So
Wow.
he's a big-time investor. And it's always interesting to see all these. I mean, look at Auntie Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala after she, all these. It's interesting when you have all these positions, how they move on to really lucrative, private practices. Of course, by law, apparently he's barred. That is Jim Yong Kim, because he was former president of the World Bank. He's barred from doing any business with the World Bank because of obvious conflict of interest and so on and so forth. So interesting news there. In aviations, Air Peace has begun demonstrations for international flights. So per the requirements of the regulator from the Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority, they are going to be taking flights to Dubai, Sharjah, which is also also in the UAE, London, Houston, Guangzhou in China, Mumbai in India, and Johannesburg in South Africa. I believe beginning this week. They've also taken a flight to Dakar, Senegal as well. So Air Peace is going to be expanding to international flights, which is pretty good. We want to see that. We want to see that. Still sticking with aviations, I want to do more sports finance on this show, but unfortunately, because exactly, we don't even have data. The way we talk about the Premier League and the La Liga and all the deals that are going on, I want to know what's good.
That's the thing about the Nigerian league.
Yeah.
The deals don't go
the way they're supposed to.
The way they're written.
Yeah.
They don't go the way they're written. Because sometimes some clubs falter on payments.
Right.
So you can't really bank on
see,
that.
Kayode, our job is to share this information with the people. But anyway, this is a sponsorship deal. So Dana Airlines, they've extended their sponsorship of Heartland FC. They announced this, it's a multi-million naira sponsorship deal. I think they announced it earlier on this year. So this is, or rather, excuse me, last year in 2018. That was when they first announced it. So they're extending it. Heartland FC, of course, is in Owerri, in Imo State. It's part of their corporate social responsibility, their CSR. So that's something that's going on there. So it will be nice to get more information on these deals, but it's good to see at least Dana Air assisting one of our sports franchises. We need more private investment in our league, because unfortunately most of the leagues are supported by state governments.
All of the leagues.
I still trip.
I think 90%
I still trip about Uba naming his team after himself. The thing makes me laugh all the time.
I said the same thing too.
He named the team after himself, but it's good stuff to see Dana Air supporting. So I'm going to do more investigations, try to see if I can check out more private sponsorships of Nigerian league teams. What else we got going? Some more messages.
Darlington Ohu comes back. He says for the fact that our stock market is dropping far from 30,000 basis points,
it calls for a real worry. Okay.
The guys in the authority worried about
Well, see, Darlington, usually what happens is maybe the market will bounce back. What happens when the market drops like that? People do what's called bargain hunting. So if tomato drops to 100 naira tomorrow, you rush and buy it before the price drops. So what happens is the market might actually jump up again. It's volatile. The market is volatile. It goes down and up, down and up. So we'll have to see how that goes as far as the market activity is concerned.
All right, so there you have it.
Yes, indeed.
That's all we can take today on Business Express.
We have so much more. We're going to make this a 30-minute show, or maybe a 1-hour show, because there's so much news. I know, right? Lagos, thanks for all your messages as well.
All right, Lagos, stay close to your radio. More great programming comes your way in just a few more minutes.
Business Express on Smooth.
I really look, dude. I really enjoy broadcasting with you. I'm gonna have a word. I don't know.